Hello, everyone. Happy Friday to you. As usual, we're just going to do a quick double check that everything's coming through okay. I don't know if you were here for our last training, but I lost internet randomly just as we started. So always smart to just double check here. If you are joining me live, please say hello. Let me know where you're joining from. If you're watching this right now and you're catching the replay, maybe it's this afternoon and maybe it's a year from now, drop a hashtag replay into the comments. That's just going to make sure that I can see anything that you want to chat about as it relates to this topic. What's really important to me about this group is that these trainings remain helpful. Some of the most popular trainings in this group, people are still revisiting, months or years later. We're actually coming up on the 2-year anniversary of this group. So whether you're watching this now or watching this in 2022, let me know that you're here by dropping a hashtag replay or letting me know if you're live here, where you're joining from. If you're new here, we have lots of new faces. My name's Anna Walker. I am a web and marketing strategist, and I work specifically with therapists and counselors. I have spent the last 2+ years getting to know this industry, getting to know therapists and counselors, and ultimately getting to support over 400 of them in their marketing through all of the various frameworks that I've been able to develop. This group, which is almost 3,000 people strong, is a wonderful resource and a really, really good community of amazing therapists that are like-minded and that want to grow their therapy practices. And what's really important to me is that you're doing that in a way that isn't just effective, right? I want to give you marketing strategies that I know work, but are also really authentic to you. That's one of the nuances of being a therapist, right? Often your private practice is you, it's your brand. It's really important that what you're doing and what you're putting out there into the world feels authentic and genuine to you. So we spend a lot of time talking about that. I'm never going to ask you or recommend to you that you do something that doesn't sit right with you, because if it doesn't sit right with you, it isn't going to sit right with your ideal clients and your practice isn't going to grow. So that's what we do inside of this group. These marketing trainings are one of my favorite ways to get to resource you guys and to offer guidance when it comes to marketing your practice. Today, we're talking about a really interesting topic about when a niche isn't enough. I talk about niching in this group. Niching is the foundation of my 4-step formula to fill your practice. It's critical. And if you haven't done that, that's a wonderful place to start. But if you have decided on your niche and you still are feeling unsure of what to do with your marketing, then it's time to think about these next steps we're going to be talking about today. So that's what we're diving into. I still haven't seen that we're coming through okay. I've just been chatting, assuming that hopefully we are. I see we're live. Okay, excellent. Wonderful. So let's dive in a little bit. Like I said, choosing a profitable niche is super, super important. And just so that we're all clear on that, the reason that having a niche is so important, be that an intrinsic niche or an extrinsic niche, visit the niching topic if you're not sure what those two things are. Whatever niche that you've decided on, it's really important that you choose one, that you select one that feels authentic to you and that is profitable, because it's going to be the way that you establish your expertise in your area, be that your city, your county, your state, whatever. It's going to be what you're known for. And when someone is looking for therapy, when someone has decided that the problem that they're experiencing in their life is significant enough that they want help from someone, they want help from someone they can trust and someone that is an expert in the problem they are facing. They're not going to trust you if you specialize in grief and loss and 18 other things. They're going to go with someone that specializes only in grief and loss, or that specializes in grief and loss and just a select couple of other things. That's why it's really important, especially if you're a private pay focused therapist, that you really think long and hard about what that niche is and why, and what it is that you want to be known for, because that's ultimately what that niche becomes. Now, when it comes to what's next, and this is an exercise that I don't see enough therapists go through, you've taken all this time, you have, you've gotten your license, you've gone through your hours, you're sitting there, you're ready to launch your private practice, you've decided what you want to specialize in. And so you've been doing a lot of thinking about who you are as a clinician. If you want your marketing to be effective, then you have to go ahead and take that focus off of yourself and onto your client. And that's what we're talking about here today. So the 3 steps to more effective marketing are going to be all focused on taking the focus off of yourself, off of your expertise, off of your experience, and putting it onto the client, because marketing is most effective when it is client focused. We talk about that in every single marketing training we do inside of this group. It has to be focused on your client, because if your client lands on your website and all you do is talk about yourself, they're not motivated by that. They're motivated by meeting with someone, by creating a one-to-one connection with someone that ultimately understands what it is that they are going through. They're motivated by their problems, right? It's anytime we make a decision with our money, whether you're buying toothpaste or a new backpack for your kids. Like, we're motivated by, hey, can you, like, what's the cheapest toothpaste? Is it going to whiten my teeth? And is this backpack not going to break by the end of the year, right? We're motivated by us and our needs. So is your client. Your client is motivated by their needs and what it is that they're experiencing. That's why we have to take that focus off. So the very first step I want you to take after deciding what your niche is and what you want to be known for is I want you to profile your ideal client. Now, this is a 4-step process that I take my own one-on-one clients through. You go through it in the Fill Your Practice Formula, which is my signature course. But ultimately, it's about getting to know your ideal client on a very, very deep level. Not just, oh, well, they're walking through grief. What kind of person are they? Are they a type A person? Are they a type B person where they're a little bit more creative, a little bit more loosey-goosey? Are they highly introspective? Are they in a really high tax bracket? Do they, the challenges that they face, are they related to being a really, generating a lot of revenue and being a really high achiever? Are they married? Are they coupled? Do they have kids? What are the challenges that they're experiencing and how are they describing them? And ultimately, how do you help them? Now, it's one thing to know that you specialize in grief work. It's another thing to be able to talk about that grief work in a way that resonates with your client. So by profiling your ideal client, letting that be your first step, I want you to get really, really crystal clear on who the person that you want inside of your therapy room is. A lot of times that's one or two or a handful of past clients you've worked with that you've just had a really, really successful relationship with. The kind of client that you would love to just clone and work with all the time. That's who I want you to profile. I want you to profile who they are demographically. It's really important to spend the time realizing, hey, is there a specific age group that I specialize in? Is there a specific, type of person or personality type that I specialize in? What is it that's bringing them into therapy? What's the tipping point, right? What did they experience yesterday that they're like, I have to get on Psychology today and find a therapist today? Think about what those experiences are, how this person describes themselves, and then ultimately how you help that person. A really important exercise I go through when profiling ideal clients is I ask my clients, so the therapist, I say, hey, if I'm your ideal client and I call and we're having our free consultation and I say, how are you going to help me? What's kind of your approach to therapy? I want you to start putting language to that, putting words to that ultimately resonates with that ideal client. It can't be about all the modalities you use and all this clinical jargon. It has to be at the level of your client and their understanding. Talk about how you help them. The goal is that through this exercise of profiling your ideal client, who they are, what they need, their greatest challenges, what they're ultimately motivated by, what do they want to become, right? What is the better version of themselves that they're hoping therapy is going to offer them? By profiling all of these different things, the goal is that your ideal client becomes a person in your mind. You can name them in the Fill Your Practice Formula. There's actually a profile sheet and you can name that person. I have an ideal client in my own business who is a therapist. Her name is Sarah. And that is who I do all of my marketing to. And I cannot tell you how transformative that has been in my own marketing and my own business, because I sit down and I'm not marketing to therapists. I'm not marketing to counselors. I'm marketing to Sarah. So imagine if you can put a name and a personality and a profile to your ideal client and how much more resonant your marketing is going to be when you're talking to a person. Because remember, we're taking the focus off of yourself. You know what you want to be known for. You know what you specialize in. But now who are we reaching and who is that person? So go through the exercises and take the time to really profile who that ideal client is so that they really form a little person, a little character in your mind that you can think about as you sit down and work on your marketing. That takes us into step number 2, which I've sort of already referenced. But step number 2 is that I really want you to incorporate your client's own words into your marketing. Now, of course, we're not disclosing anything that happens inside of your therapy sessions, never. But what we are going to be doing is we're going to be using phrases that your clients use when they describe what's going on. That is my number 1 hack for improving your marketing, is by simply mirroring back to your client the words that you often hear from them. So sit down and jot down a list of what you often hear clients say to you when you say, hey, what's going on? What are you struggling with? What's bringing you to therapy? My partner and I are fighting all the time. I react in ways I'm not proud of. My life feels out of control. Whatever that is, there's lots and lots of phrases. I have just documents of these from working with my own clients, but really start incorporating those things back into your marketing. So in your Psychology Day profile, you're not talking about, breaking unhelpful psychological patterns. You're talking about, feeling like I'm totally doing this off the cuff, but, not being proud of how you respond in stressful situations at work. those types of things, like if that is how your ideal client describes what's going on, imagine how effective that is when they read your Psychology Today profile and they're like, are you in my head? Like, how did you know that? That's what we want your marketing to do. And the easiest way to do that is to mirror back to them the things that you hear from them. So keep a short little list of a Google Doc, something in your notebook of just phrases that you hear often, and incorporate those right back into your marketing. I guarantee that if you visit a therapy website or just any sort of business website that that's focused on working one-on-one with someone, you're going to find things like that inside of that website. If you go to my own website, walkerstrategyco.com, you will see snippets of actual words I hear from my clients, because I know that those are the problems that my clients are facing. And what is easier to create connection with based other than, what this person is already experiencing and what I've heard from them in the past. So again, the only way we can do that, the only way that we can incorporate our clients' own words into our marketing is if we know who that ideal client is. So we can't skip step number one, right? So we have to profile who that person is. And then next, I want you to bring those words into your marketing. So your Psychology Today profile, your social media posts, your website copy, your blog posts, all of those things are great places to weave this in and to create that connection point where people are like, holy cow, you obviously understand me, because you're using the same exact words I use in my own mind when I'm talking about or thinking about these things. So that's the second step. And then the third step, when it comes to getting outside of your niche, is showing up where that ideal client is spending time. So many times I sit down in a strategy session with a new clinician and I ask what they're doing for their marketing. They let me know, I have a social media page and, maybe I have a website through Simple Practice, or, they're fairly new in their practice and they're just starting to think about where to spend their time and energy. And I say, cool, is your ideal client, like, how, are you seeing results there? Is your ideal client spending time there and engaging with you? And a lot of times the answer is, not really. That points us to the fact that we maybe need to ask this question: is where is my ideal client, that one that I profiled in step one, where are they spending their time? Now that's both online and offline. Online, is your ideal client the type of person that's going to read a blog post, right? And that's not to say that blogging can't be effective for, whatever population, because blogging is a super, super powerful marketing strategy. But when you have limited time and when you need to start seeing results quickly in your practice, the question is my ideal client looking for a therapist here? Is my ideal client looking for a therapist on Facebook? Is my ideal client looking for a therapist on Instagram or on a podcast or on XYZ? If the answer is no, probably not, then that's not to say that that isn't a good marketing strategy. What that is to say is that it's probably not the first marketing strategy you need to be latching onto when it comes to growing your practice. Chances are your ideal client is looking for therapy in a couple key places. Certainly Google. So SEO, Google Ads, things like that are going to be really important. Google My Business. Certainly just on the internet. So a website is a non-negotiable, obviously. Hopefully that goes without saying. Directories, Psychology Today, Good Therapy, Mental Health Match, all those kinds of things. If there are directories specific to your niche, specific to the ideal client that you've profiled, maybe you specialize in the LGBTQ space, there are directories specifically for that. Therapy for Black girls. Get on the places where your ideal client is spending time and is looking for a therapist. And if they're not there looking for a therapist, not to say you shouldn't do it, I'm just recommending that you put that a little bit later in your marketing and focus now on where they are spending time. That's also true for offline. Maybe you work with parents. Where do parents spend their time? They spend their time at pediatricians. Maybe they call occupational therapists. They might take their kids to daycare. All of these things, when you get to know your ideal client so well, point you to exactly what you need to be doing in your marketing and in your networking. Who do I need to be connecting to? The answer is, who else is bumping into my ideal client on a daily or weekly basis? So yeah, parents, daycare providers, pediatricians, maybe you specialize in postpartum health. Great. Midwives, doulas, OBGYNs. All of these things just sort of point you toward the networking relationships that are going to be most profitable. It's not who you want to talk to. It's who's also bumping into that ideal client that I know so well. So friends, these are the 3 steps I really, really encourage you to take. They're the exact same 3 steps that I take my own clients through when it comes to getting outside of your niche. Your niche is so important. I hope that is firmly communicated here in this video, is that you need a niche, but you also need more than a niche. Your niche is a first step in a series of steps you need to take in order to actually create truly effective marketing. And so those 3 steps: number 1, profile your ideal client. Sit down and get to know your ideal client on a deep level. Revisit this. You're going to get to know your ideal client better and better throughout your practice. I see it happen with my own clients. We'll work on something and then 6 months later, we'll check in in on how things are going. They're like, actually, I've really realized my ideal client often thinks they're struggling with this. Awesome. Then let's infuse that back into our marketing in step 2, where we incorporate their own words into marketing. So keep a list, a notebook, something of phrases that you're hearing on a regular basis from your ideal client, and make sure that all of your marketing is at that level. Because you can be the expert. You can be the expert in your niche. But if all you're doing is talking about your expertise in a way that doesn't make sense to your client, they don't care. They don't care that you're the expert. What we need to do is meet them on their level. If you do trauma work, but your clients don't realize they have trauma, then you shouldn't be talking all about trauma. You should be talking about the anxiety that precedes it, or the depression. What is it that brings those people in? You have to meet them on that level. So really incorporate their own words into your marketing and make sure that what you're putting out there is easily understood. I don't want you to appear stuffy or intimidating. I want you to be relatable and create that connection. And the easiest way to do that is to join the conversation that's already happening in your ideal client's head. And then number 3, show up where they're spending time, both online and offline, especially if you're new in your practice and you're like, where the heck do I start? What do I focus on and what do I not focus on? Ask yourself that question. Where's my ideal client spending time? Where's my ideal client looking for a therapist? That's going to point you exactly where you need to go, exactly who you need to be networking with, or what platforms you need to be on in order to be found by that ideal client that you've worked so hard to profile. I hope that as you're thinking about your marketing, friends, that it goes beyond who you are and what you want to be known for and your vision for your practice, and expands into the ideal client that you're ultimately trying to reach, because it's that switch, it's that like change in your thinking that is going to be so transformative in your marketing. And that it's literally at that juncture that I've seen so many of my clients start to get results, because they've gone outside of themselves. They've spent so much time thinking about themselves and the practice they want to build. Once they go outside of that and they think about the ideal client they want to bring in, everything changes. So I want you to know that that can totally change. Hi, Carmen. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that was really helpful for you. If you're watching this right now, be it today, like I said, or a year from now, please drop comments if you have questions about the things I've talked about here. I want this to be really useful for you. But if you walk away with nothing else, I want you to know that your niche is important, but after that, if you really want it to pay off and to start getting results in your practice, you need to take that niche outside of yourself and start focusing on the person that you want to bring in. All right. With that, I'm going to leave you. This was a quick one, but hopefully a useful one. Like I said, questions, comments, you know where to drop them right below this video. I would love to chat further with you, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next time.